What's up, guys? You may hear my voice a bit of weakness. I actually threw up 2 days in a row. Unfortunately, it was a small amounts, but on the positive news, the Augmentin is working great for pneumonia and my urinary tract infection. I have some hope that I can adapt to this somehow. I mean, obviously I'm going to feel horrible. Obviously there's going to be a lot of pain. But if it's in any way tolerable, if it, gets a little better, stays about the same, this would be perfect. The sad fact is this Eftenir is not working anymore. I really need a break from that. But we'll see. I wouldn't hold my breath. All I can say is I'm 100% willing to put in the suffering, but if it's actually indicating it's doing serious damage, I'm gonna fill out. Once I finish the 7-day course, I'm gonna go back to this Eftenir. So, Jesus, see how weak I am. I dropped my phone. Why I say weak, man? I'm strong. I am strong as hell. So, yeah, the other thing too, I literally made a 2-hour video, and I don't think it'll ever come out, because listening to me talk for 2 hours, plus figuring out how to upload something like that, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get inspiration from that, because there's a lot of powerful things, and just kind of redo it in pieces type of thing, which is exactly what I do in my writing. If that makes sense, I'll often come out with stuff. It's just not the right time, but I'll use that later when the time is right and it's even more potent. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like I said, I'm reporting, not complaining. Very difficult. Very difficult. But, and it's very stressful planning this whole trip, among other things I can't get into. But man, am I happy to be able to do this video with you guys. Today is Sunday. The videos will actually be a bit out of order, potentially. Like, I have a video I never put out. That was when I was more into the pneumonia. And the thing is, sometimes I'll just get inspired and I want to make another video. The post will go another way, etc. So in this case, it may be out of order. What I've been saying for a while is the strong start on Sunday, which is not meant to be taken literally. Just so happens it is Sunday. But it has to do with, your mentality on life. It ain't no time to start on New Year's. It's not time to wait till Monday. You start on Sunday. You start right now. God, it's so itchy. So start right now, but apparently can't stay focused enough for this video. I feel weaker and weaker by the day, but that's also why I'm glad I reminded myself the strong start on Sunday. This is Sunday. not time to bend. We keep going. So maybe not my best content, but I'm out here doing my best. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did spend a lot of time lying in bed today. I would try to do something, and it's just I wouldn't make it very long, to be frank. Still got stuff done, but you know, I lost the momentum a bit just because I'm feeling ultra sick, just because I'm feeling this horrible, nasty, hot feeling. But I'm done complaining because I do want to talk about, well, let me talk about something fun first. You know, I've really been into style. You wouldn't really necessarily notice that over the past 2-3 years. And that's, again, just another mistake because clothes are so important. I love clothes because of the way they make me feel, right? Like, I put on this camo jacket and it's like, this is right, man. This is the right vibe for just keep going. Keep going. Let me tell you a funny story about fashion just real quick. I got this really nice jacket. It was $300-$400 years ago, back when I had money. Obviously, I haven't bought any new clothes in years. So obviously I can't be wasting. You know, I don't have any disposable income to waste. It's all about getting my health. And I've been asking people for money. So of course, not buying clothes. But back in the day, I got this jacket and man, it was so great. It hit the right line between. I'm not a big fan of the whole like fake rugged, like, oh, we're gonna put holes in this, we're gonna fake age this. But it was right in the middle of being a bit like that, but still very fancy. Which, I mean, if you're gonna spend that much on a jacket, I would hope it does look somewhat sophisticated. And man, I loved it. And it was sunny as hell outside. But of course I wore that for a walk. You know, these Southerners looking at me all weird. I was talking to my girl. And I'm like, but man, I felt great. But I can be a bit petty sometimes in certain areas. Guess what? Maybe even that day, I kind of wore it for the first time. I'm randomly scrolling through Danny Brown's Instagram. He has the rapper, if you don't know, extremely underrated. Atrocity Exhibition is one of my favorite albums, period, that's came out in the last 5 years or so. Of course, there's Triple X. Anyways, he had that same jacket. Guess what I did? Returned it instantly. Not even a thought. Hey, but and people think that's ridiculous, but again, you want average results. You're going to think about things like an average person. And hey, I don't want a jacket that another man, you know, wearing like that, especially one I respect. You know, so that's a stupid little quick story. But man, no matter what I rock, I'm a sexy MFer. MFer. That's the truth, because it's not just about that. You know, it's like, I do have this dichotomy between where I can be awkward, but somehow it's also cool at the same time. I'm probably the shyest person ever made, you know, but I also am so much more confident with girls or what have you, then in the same way, it's like how Jay-Z was super, super shy. There's always going to be that part in you, but not only can you easily overcome it, and I don't think it's all weakness, that's for sure. There is beauty and shyness, especially in this day and age. But man, I'm awkward and cool, shy but outgoing. Such a special snowflake, man. What can I say? I just can't get past the millennial thing. You think you do, and then it's like I've been looking back and I'm like, wow, I do got the millennial in you. But you're never gonna escape your generation. You're always gonna be a product of it to an extent. One of the most beautiful movies. It really clicked with me. It connected with the book All the Pretty Horses, right? So one of my favorite movie is basically a remake of Les Samurai, that popular French film. Is called something dog. Cannot believe I can literally never remember these names anymore. Ghost Dog? They may have been right, but it was so beautiful because one of the key elements is just like, when generation, there's a soul of each generation, and that's 100% true. The reason I relate it back to literature, so I'll never forget that passage talking about the horses have one soul. And in a way, that does occur in humans as well. We all are connected. The boundaries between us, and I've never been a psychedelic user like that. And, this is partially the reason why, because it truly is unearned wisdom. Like, you can learn a lot of similar aspect of psychedelics through contemplation, through reading, through growing wiser, rather than just throwing yourself into that whole type of thing. I know it's still early, but I have true faith. I have true faith for everything. And again, this whole Sunday is just a great time to reflect, watch church virtually. And just like a psychologist, I've realized if you find the right one, it can be revivifying. I know people have been discouraged with the church, and for very good reason, because they're not fighting. They're just kind of accepting. So, of course, especially men, it's like they see that they're pushed away. They're pushed away. And that's unfortunate, because it has many, many benefits when it's proper. Same thing with mentorship, another dead thing, unfortunately. I just cannot describe to you what I'm working on in the background. I've never felt so happy. Well, let me break it down a little bit. I had this big soccer project. We're looking at over 3 million visits and such and such. And I gave it away at the right time. I was just looking at the analytics of it, and as you would expect, they messed things up. It went from like a quite high length of time spent on the website to nothing. And I don't even check my ranking in Google, but that alone is gonna take a huge hit. I don't even think it's not ranking for how to play soccer anymore. I really want to buy that back, man, at some point. There's one of the things I contemplated was going into coaching for soccer, but that would just be torture for me. I have so much love for the game, more than any of my teammates I've ever met. And I will also say, so coaching, for some people, that would be a beautiful thing. For me, it would just be like, man, I wish I was playing. And that I've seen that in many coaches, especially the younger ones that were really, really good back in the day. So I don't think that's going to happen. Though maybe I'll try coaching a little bit, even if it's just kids, man. Like, that would be a good experience, maybe. And it would definitely help me when it comes to leadership, being more comfortable speaking in front of groups, etc. So maybe I'll coach a little team at the Y. Who knows? Who knows? Am I right? Anything can happen. Back in the day, honestly, I used to wear shades indoors all the time. And it was, I like doing things like that because it does cultivate, like, I don't care what you think attitude. When I had an ostomy bag, I would go shirtless all the time, just to strengthen myself and realize, hey, just ask someone to put on sunglasses indoors and walk around the mall and, people will stare. A lot of people can't do it. Shout outs to, me and my spouse were just in CVS randomly. There's these two young girls. Both of them had shades on. I'm like, I almost said, hey, we'll read, But doing stuff like that, again, man, in this life, you have to be bold. Even if it ends up being, quote, cringe. Again, you want to be on the field, not a bench player, and you want to do that no matter how you can, from the small to the big, And I really am at the point in my life where I have never cared less about what people think, but I've never cared more about, people that aren't close, but I've never cared more about people that are close. And if anyone close to me indicates that I'm doing something wrong, I really try to pay attention. But my attention span has just been so short-lived because I'm always putting out fires health-wise. Unfortunately, that's an excuse. And now I'm doing better. But that's what happened. And again, it comes down to should have been a better man. Right? Should have been a better man. See, I'm so awkward, man. I'm more like a Cary Grant than a Humphrey Bogart or something like that. I've been forcing myself to laugh. And that's something I've always done. My friend Nick, I have multiple good friends named Nick. He would come visit me. back when I was just completely confused. Now it's back when they were running all the bladder tests, which of course came back with nothing, and just alternating antibiotics, etc. And this is a great compliment. He said to me, truly, that it's like, I forget that you're sick. I forget that you're in all this pain because you don't show it. And I've gotten that over and over. I remember in Atlanta, this very nice Indian man was saying, man, wow, you're going through all this stuff. And I see you laughing and all this different stuff. And that is something that is a great part about me. Something that I must continue to cultivate. Life is very difficult. It is so insane how fast things can stagnate if you just don't pay attention and just keep at it. You know, it's like playing a musical instrument. It's like you could have these songs in your head, you could be playing them for years. Simple songs, just not even like flares, just because, you know, I got into the piano because I wanted to sing along some of my favorite songs. I'm not out here trying to be a jazz pianist and stuff. Though, when I have taken on more advanced pieces, that's been very joyful too. But mainly, it's like, man, I just want to chill and just enjoy singing. And by the way, I can just tell my lungs get stronger and stronger because it feels more and more normal singing. But anyways, the point is, you can have this stuff ingrained in your head. You go back to play on the piano and it's like, I forgot. You know? Obviously, when it comes to, quote, relearning, it's so much faster. But, man, when it comes to anything, if you don't keep doing it, you are going to forget, like, real fast. And that is a bit depressing. But, hey, you know, it's just something you've got to remember. So, if you want to be great, it's a daily thing. There are going to be times when you low. Like right now, for instance, you can take a step back, etc. But you just got to keep going and just keep reinforcing the things that are good. Because, especially in this day and age where everything is designed to addict you, you have to take control over yourself, or quickly, other things will take control. And man, have I seen it in my own life, and man, am I disgusted. But the disgust is good. The shame is good, because I really didn't used to feel shame. I really didn't. And again, you know, there's the right amount. But you should feel shame when you're doing something that's clearly bad. Otherwise, you're going to be able to justify it. So, you are either growing or falling. That's what it is. You know, life is very complicated. I'm obviously not saying that you're just going to keep steadily going up. That's for sure. But if you truly focus, in the long run, you will you won't be stagnating. You will be getting better and better. I really hope that I can put out some long form content that I can really just sink my teeth into. You know, right now, I just don't feel comfortable. Like, man, I've been wanting to make this video, T-Lop, because it's so important. I have things so figured out in my head that album took so long for it to click, and I put in like literally years of this, and I know I can make at least a good video, you know. It's not gonna be great, unfortunately, because all these things take practice, and I'm new to it. Like say getting out those arms and these fillers and all this stuff. Like I'm just at the basics right now, and that's okay. And so just like I made that important decision to not numb out the pain, as I mentioned in that other video, that it's doubtful I wouldn't have woken up, but it could have saved my life about the asphyxiation type thing. I've started implementing good habits today, not tomorrow, today. And we're just gonna start slow, of course, but I don't care how bad I feel. I'm gonna check off these habits. These are basic, but the small things, they add up. They add up over time. So, and they do cultivate discipline. Aristotle said, I believe that, there's a reason that when people are raised on the farm, they're often good quality people. You know why? Because their life is revolved around a habit. And so that's your foundation. That's your foundation. So I'm started that today, and I will continue no matter how bad I feel. Okay, that's my pledge. You see the kicks, see the vinegar trying to clean up my vomit. Oh, here's something. I knew there was something that was important. I didn't end up publishing this video, but just an hour before, I had a PTSD episode, and let me explain that real fast. The PTSD has been doing phenomenal. So, but it's never gonna go away completely. And for the first time in a while, I did have a screaming episode. So let me explain. These screaming episodes are just out-of-body experiences you really can't control. Like, I would almost compare it to an extent to like those seconds before you have a seizure, or is it after, that people say can be elucidating. It's almost like that. And what happens when I scream is just, I feel like I'm looking down at someone else screaming. And it's just, what I feel is like this amalgam of all the trauma. So when the PTSD started, and this goes to my mind, right? When something seems so out of whack, so out of probability, I'm going to make a very important post and video on probability. When I understood that when I was in middle school, that was probably the most important thing I ever stood, right? When you learn that it's not surprising, it's inevitable that people will win the lottery 3 times. Does that sound crazy to you? It's not. You just gotta think about it. And I highly recommend getting the probability, but that's for another video. What was I saying about that? Well, when probability breaks down, I kind of lose contact with reality. And it's very unfortunate with this bladder thing because it just seems so surreal. Um, it's really messed me up in that regards. But again, I'm rambling all over the place. What truly caused the severe PTSD is when I had 2 extremely unlucky events in a row. Third surgery for my J pouch. The easiest one surgical wise, very difficult adjustment. I won't get into it, but very, very difficult. But it's literally a 30-minute surgery, whereas these other ones were hours, right? And I had the internal bleeding, and then they pulled the drain, and I had something happen that's even worse. And when I woke up after they had pulled that drain, in such a horrendous state, I remember specifically screaming internally, and it actually, I'm not taking artistic sensibilities with it. It actually felt like something had snapped in my brain. I swear to you. And so I probably had some form of PTSD before this, but when it became so severe that I know it's hard to understand, but after that, if for instance there was a shift in light, it would cause the most intense anxiety ever. And I'm way far away from that, but it didn't seem like I would make it out, and that was worse than the Crohn's. I didn't. For over a year, I don't think I felt one positive emotion. Maybe, it's a bit exaggerated, I'm sure, and it didn't seem like it was ever gonna go away. And I think I can't believe I'm alive, and I can't believe that I recovered to an extent from it. It will always be there. I don't care. It's nothing to be ashamed of. When, for instance, people I don't know say, come into a room like out of nowhere, I get this fight or flight type of thing. I don't know if things like that will ever go away, but compared to where it once was, because PTSD is permanent damage in the brain. You can get a brain scan to indicate that, right? So, and unfortunately, the vast majority of people have substance abuse problems and a high suicide rate. It's almost relatable to gender dysphoria in that regard. And I'm proud of myself for never giving in to opiates like I promised myself 7 years ago when I got out of that detox. And I have given in a lot to other things, but hey, again, it's a learning process, and I'm trying to improve in my own way. When it came to vices, I would still participate. For instance, I won't be specific, but I'm like, before I would be going 5 times harder, and I'm still messing up, but it's not like it used to be. And people don't see that, unfortunately. They just want to judge outsiders looking in. And I understand, because it is hard to understand. But, one thing about going through all this is I always was more compassionate than most. But, man, just interact with people that have truly been to the ringer with chronic illness, and you will meet some of the most compassionate, caring, non-judgmental people. I think that's good enough for now. Oh, by the way, I've been listening to some uh, great music. Have you ever heard of Curtis Blow? 1980, man. And this guy was rapping. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like his other albums are up to snuff, but his debut, Masterpiece. And I've been listening to Supreme Clientele by Ghostface. I always consider him, I've been noticing these people all getting them flowers, like, say, a Doom, a Ghostface. I bet people like Danny are going to get their flowers eventually. It's just too early. Speaking of that guy that may return the jacket. So, Supreme Clientele was made after he truly thought he was dying. So, of course, I relate to it. And guess what the skits are? Iron Man, Iron Man. I love the old Wu, man, because, yeah, they were vulgar, but they were so profound as well. And it was just pure New York toughness. Unfortunately, New York has become nowhere close to what it was. There's many problems as it had back in the day. I don't even have a desire to go back to New York. I wanted to take my spouse there, but I would never take anyone there now. But at least I got to experience it, because I do feel that New York blood in me. And I'm trying to minimize and people don't necessarily understand, especially going from that vibe, being raised like that, to the Midwest. I'm trying to bring myself down a bit from that, because people don't understand. It seems like New Yorkers are a special breed. I was not raised in New York, but it's like my family come in, you're a bunch of wise guys type of thing. People say I have a New York accent, which is not true. Or at least I don't hear it. Sometimes maybe more than others. Sometimes I have a southern accent too. I'm just a weird dude, man. When it comes to the external, sometimes things get a little weird with me. Makes me very amusing at times, very annoying at others. Hated and loved, that's for sure. Been called the F word behind my back since middle school, and also been called a legend behind my back and to my face. No one ever said that to my face, believe me. Not saying I was some tough guy, but I always hung out with older crews, and man, if anyone happened to me, I tell you, one time someone did an offensive disrespect against me, and he's a good kid at the end of the day. I'm not trying to hate on him, but he got slammed against the locker, and it's like he ended up texting me. It's like, man, like, I really didn't mean it, like he was actually seeming scared. And of course I smoothed things out, but trust me, no one ever touched Jimmy, and God, do I have so much appreciation for these young men that made high school good, even though I hated the high school part about education and all that. But aside from when I was like in the very beginnings, and I always stood up for myself with Born, always. So I never consider myself bullied in my life, because if you stand up for yourself, you're not being bullied anymore. I digress. I truly have so much love for them. Man, I have a regret. I was gonna bring uh, my wife down to meet so many of my friends tailgating at the ATL soccer team, but instead I got too distracted by something I can't get into. Um, and we were late, and that never happened, which is very sad because I don't think I'll have an opportunity like that again. Same thing with the wedding. I go from having 7 friends down to go, had to postpone it, and but it's not a big deal on my part. 100% the wedding is about the woman. And as I'm learning, the marriage should be about the woman, not on some simp stuff. Man, if you want to test my Christian, start calling me stuff like that, you get slapped, man. But nah, not really. It's not the old days, man. You can end up yelling at someone, slapping someone. Man, I thank God, because there was 2 times I almost got in altercations. One, this, grown man, he was older. That's also why I didn't end up doing anything. Disrespected